Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's Ben from I'm Not Licensed. And I've got another one for you today. It's about doing the right thing. I know. It's so hard to just wrap your head around this whole, like, we should just be doing the right thing as human beings. And yet we still just can't seem to find it within our moral fiber to do it. I've got examples on examples on examples, but we're going to go with one, and if I've got time, I'm going to go with two. Anyways, let's start with number one, right? Daughter leaves her car with me for while she's on deployment, which I'm very grateful for because my car took a shit and it no longer runs, had to sell it, part it out, whatever you want to call it, got rid of it, right? So AC starts going bad in her car, which is not an old car by any means. It's a 16 Audi Q5. And so I'm like 8 years and the AC's already going bad. All right. Take it to a local shop. They put it on they do a vacuum test. They check for leaks and whatnot. They come up and they're like, hey, you know what? We have found that your system has Freon. It does not have any leaks, but we can't figure out why the electronics are not, communicating with the compressor to tell the compressor to do its job and then to make it cold. Maybe the dealer can help you because maybe their system and their software is just a little bit better. Okay. Make an appointment to go to the dealer. Dealer says, okay, no problem. Yeah, bring it in, get an appointment. He says, okay, it's a $600 diagnosis fee. Talk about a tough pill to swallow. Stuck like right there, sideways, just jagged, right in the side of my esophagus, all the fucking way down, right? I'm like, $600. Mind you, the local shop didn't charge me anything because they couldn't really truly figure out what was wrong with it, and that's just kind of, I guess, good customer service by not charging you because they couldn't seem to figure out what the problem was, nor could they fix it. So anyways, take it to the dealership, leave it. It's there for a couple of hours. Service writer comes over and he says, hey, I got your answer for you. Come over to the desk. He says, okay, your total is a little over $4,000. Somewhere over $4,000. $4,000 fucking dollars. So I tell the guy, I'm like, are you replacing the entire system? Every single line, vent, filter, everything? No, that's just a few parts. A compressor and whatever the other parts he said. And he gave me the whole printout and whatnot. But I was just like, wow. All right, I'm getting there. Calm down. We're just slow rolling here. So I'm like, I don't have $4,000. So I guess we're just going to have to sit on this for a minute. So I let it go. And I drive off. And I come home. And I park it. Doesn't move for the rest of the weekend. It doesn't really move very much on a regular basis. Anyways, I don't put a lot of miles on it. Anyways. So Sunday, I have a trip down in Fort Myers Beach. So I'm like, okay, I got to go down to the marina, pick up the boat, and then go pick up the clients and whatnot. Sitting in the car first thing in the morning. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like going through like my pre-check for the car. And I look down and there's a little Jesus figurine. I don't know. He's probably about that big. That Riley had left in her, in the little nook where the parking brake goes, right? Everything's push button nowadays. Nobody has like the old, and then you have to twist it and put it back in or push it down with the floorboard and then, you push it again or you have to pull the lever to get it to pop up or whatever. No, everything's push button, everything's electric. And so she had a little Jesus character in there and, it's hers. And, so I was like, okay. So I'm like, man, well, where did it go? I'm the only one that drives it. So I look in the cup holder, I look in the ashtray, I look in the center console, I look in the glove box, I look on the floor, I look in between the seats, I look between the seat and the console, under the seat, behind the seat. I'm looking all over for this little guy, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, maybe when the car was at Audi, maybe somebody used the parking brake and like picked it up, maybe put it on their toolbox, put it in their pocket, whatever, planned on replacing it or whatnot. So I think to myself, and I'm like, okay, first thing Monday morning, I'm going to go down to the dealership and I'm going to just go to talk to the service manager and tell him what the deal is and tell him that I just, maybe it was an oversight or whatnot, and then I just want the little guy back. So I go down there, I walk straight by the service writer, and he says good morning to me, and I walk straight into the service manager's office, and he's like, he looks at me with that look on his face, like he's very surprised to see somebody just waltz into his office. And I stuck out my hand, I introduced myself, and I said, "You're the service manager, right?" And he says, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, cool." I said, "My daughter's car was in here for a diagnosis for AC system, and this is what happened. There's something that's in the car that was missing." So I pulled up my phone, showed him a screenshot of what it looked like, and he said, "Okay." And I said, "I don't know if somebody picked it up. I don't know if somebody moved it. I don't know if somebody thought they were going to pinch it and just get away with it or whatever. Would be kind of like an ironic thing to steal, right? A little Jesus figurine. I mean, he's stealing. No, thou shalt not steal. I mean, I'm not a religious guy, but I mean, I kind of know some of those things." So anyways, he says, "Let me go, let's go out and take a look." So I said, "Okay." Well, I had a dog with me. And so I said, "Well, let me get the dog out of the car." He says, "Okay, let me look. Let me and the service rider look in the car and see if we can find it." And I said, "You know what? I really do truly hope that I just overlooked it and you find it, right?" So he says, "Yeah." So I take the dog out and we go walking. We walk around the dealership. It's raining, and so we're walking around the dealership. We're walking through the service bays and whatnot, or the service drive, and comes back and he says, "Yeah, man, I can't find it." And he says, let me go talk to the technician." I said, "Okay, that's fine." So he goes and he talks to the technician. Technician doesn't have it. So I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." I said, he goes, "Well, I took it a step further," and he says, "I went back to the detailing department and I looked at detail to see if maybe one of those guys had taken it out." He said, "I even looked through the vacuum system to see if maybe it got sucked up." And I said, "Well, I can assure you that didn't happen because they don't vacuum the interior of the car. I know this for a fact because they barely wash the exterior of the car." That was my one and kind of only dig that I took to those guys, right? So he says, "Oh, okay. Well, I looked anyways." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, there was also porters that are in the car because, they pull the car out from the service drive and then they take it back to service and whatnot and bring them back and so on and so forth and drive them around the yard and whatever." So he says, "Okay, yeah, but that porter is not here today. He'll be here tomorrow, so we'll be able to find out and ask him." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I know how this works." I said, "It doesn't make any difference to me." I said, "If somebody comes to you and says, 'Hey, you know what, I did lift this thing out of the car,' and, I go, whatever you choose to do to your employees, should somebody admit to wrongdoing, is between you and them. I don't really care. I don't care if somebody stole it. I just want it back. I don't care if somebody misplaced it. I just want it back." He says, "Okay." He says, "We'll talk to the porter. We got your phone number. We'll call you and let you know." I said, "Okay." Then he follows it up with, "What would you need to make it whole? To make you whole, right?" And I said, you can't. It's irreplaceable. I mean, it seems like it's just a little figurine." But I said, "This belongs to that car that belongs to my daughter who used her own money to buy it. And she's now overseas, deployed in the military at 18 years old, now 19. And so it doesn't have a value. You can't buy it. You can't replace it with money." And he says, "Okay." And I was just like, I was kind of like beside myself, like, why would you even offer that? It sounds kind of like a settlement, but at any rate, it was like, it doesn't have a value, right? So the moral of the story, right, is like doing the right thing, right? So I know I didn't move it. I know I didn't pick it up. because it's been in the car from the day that I got it, and I drove it here from Tennessee, and it was supposed to be in the car the day I gave it back to her. So I didn't move it, don't move it, have no intention of moving it. And so the only other person that would have potentially been in that car would have been somebody from Audi. So you would think that somebody would just say, this guy's here to get this. Maybe I should just say, oh, yeah, I accidentally moved it. I forgot to put it back in your car. Here it is. Originally, in my mind, I was thinking to myself, the service manager had found it out in maybe the service area. Maybe the technician had given it to him, or a porter, or somebody had given it to him, and he was just going to, like, while he was looking through the car, be like, oh, look, I found it. And at that point, I wouldn't even have cared, right? But it's like the do the right thing and don't fucking do shit like that. Like, don't steal money out of people's cup holders. Don't steal shit out of their car. Don't take things that aren't yours. Like, do the right thing, which consists of doing your fucking job, and that's it. Within the parameters of your job and your job title and whatnot, do that and be done. All right, so we're at 11 and a half minutes. I got another one. And this one's even bigger of a doozy, right? So I think I've mentioned on here before, right? I have a small dive business, and also I do captain work down here in Southwest Florida. So had this kid come in to the marina, started undercutting everybody, and really just started rubbing me the wrong way. But I gave him a pass because I figured, he'd pick up a couple customers and whatnot, and he'd get a little bit of business out of it, and everything would be fine. I would just continue on. I felt like I had a pretty good relationship with all of my clients. Boy, was I wrong. Wow. I couldn't have been more wrong. I guess it's kind of like, when you think that your relationship is great, and then you come home and like you find your spouse in bed with somebody else, and you thought everything was fine, and then you find out that it was not. So anyways, back to the moral of this story, right? So he comes in, he starts undercutting. Well, now he's like swimming under boats. He's taking pictures, he's taking videos, he's knocking on doors, and he's telling these boat owners, your diver isn't doing his job. And I'm like, you little motherfucker, right? I'm like, okay. So then I see a post on our diver Facebook page. He's looking for divers. Naturally, I comment, can't wait to see how this shit show plays out. Well, then he proceeds to follow it up with a video on my comment. Okay. About a dirty boat. And I'm like, okay. I got it. Right? So he says something about dirty boats or divers waterlining or whatever the case is. Because in my industry, that's what it's called. It's called waterline. So you make the waterline look good, but the underside of the boat is still a disaster. So that might look good, and if you go try to run it, it's not going to run very well. But anyways, he says, oh, the diver was here, and the diver was here waterlining, and I just got a bill not too long ago. Okay. Let's look into this first before I go mouthing off. If there's one thing that I've learned from my girlfriend, it's to hold your tongue and know what you're talking about before you answer. Because usually I just fly off the handle and I'm just like, fuck you, I'm going to stomp your ass when I see you at the dock. And I was like, no, let's do this the right way. So I was like, I know what boat this is. And I was like, coincidentally, I had already been fired from this guy. Excuse me, kind of going through puberty. Hold on. Anyways, I had already been fired from this guy a couple days prior. And he said that I needed to do better work and that I needed to up my quality control standards. Really? So, again, I took a step back and I listened to me say the words, but I reread his text multiple times and I was like, okay, So then I flat out just responded back, hey, listen, you requested to be on a 6-week rotation, not me. That video was taken at week number 5 of 6. So naturally, your boat is going to be dirty if you're at 5 of 6 weeks. That's just a no-brainer. I didn't put the no-brainer part in there, but I said, you requested that much. Oh my God, I can't even speak at this point. You requested a 6-week rotation against my better judgment and against another yacht manager's better judgment, because we know what the growth is like in Southwest Florida, and it is not pleasant. As the water temperatures rise, so does the rate of growth. So I was like, at 6 weeks, I go, and you were at 5 weeks. So what did you think was going to happen? Of course your boat's going to be dirty. Naturally, it's going to be dirty. And I said, furthermore, you've got this little guy. I might have said little guy, but I don't think I did. But anyways, in my response, you'll kind of get the gist of it, right? So I put that this guy's down there and he's talking shit about me and he's talking shit about my divers, and it's just unacceptable. It's not respectable for anybody to do something like that. It's definitely not professional. But I said, but you know what? I said, I've enjoyed. Oh, and I did mention that he's down there talking all this trash and everybody's eating it up as if he's got any tenure to stand on, because he doesn't. The kid's been there maybe a few months, 3 or 4 months maybe. Anyways, I said, hey, look, it's been great knowing you guys over the years. I said, no hard feelings, it's just business, right? Because I mean, at this point, I'm not going to fight over a relationship that isn't valid to begin with, right? It's like knowing that your romantic relationship is over, and yet you want to just throw money, throw gifts, throw kids, or whatever the case is at this relationship and hoping that you're going to save it. Not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. I'm certainly not going to get on my knees and grovel for what? For a boat owner that doesn't give a shit about our relationship to begin with? Nope, sorry. I'll just go drive boats for all I care. And my divers will go and they'll do their own dive work and they'll do their commercial dive work and whatnot, and everybody will be happy. And one day they will come to realize that I wasn't as bad as this guy was making me out to be. But by that time, it'll be too little too late. So anyways, so I was going back and forth with this kid, right? So then he proceeds to, that's how I found that out. Was I went into Square and I checked my invoices and I was like, yeah, 5 of 6 weeks. So then he proceeds to post another story, a video of a boat that, the trim tabs were untouched, that he had to use a pressure washer, a cavet blaster to get them clean, and that there was barnacles inside of the propellers because it has pods on it. And I was like, I go, yeah, I know that boat very, very well, right? Pictures and videos of the swim platform. I said, I know that boat very well. So naturally, what do? I go into my text messages because I know it's been a while, and I go into Square. Well, lo and behold, I hadn't serviced that boat since January 19th of 2025, and here we are in May. If worst case scenario, even best case, he took those videos last month, which would have been April, which would have still been 3 months later. So I screenshotted my text messages and I posted those on there, and I said, oh, that's great. I said, I haven't serviced that boat since January 19th. As you can see right here, the boat owner told me that the boat was out of the water and that he would contact me when it got back into the water, and then we would get back on schedule when he got back to the marina. No surprise, I got crickets. You know why? Because he's been down at the marina talking all this shit about me and my divers not doing their job, right? And again, so you get these boat owners that are just eating it up. This kid has the fucking nerve to tell me that I need to up my prices. What? You're gonna give me advice? You. I wouldn't take advice from you as to how to wipe my fucking ass. So, going back to the whole doing the right thing, right? Now, the way I earn every bit of my business has been nothing short of hard work and word of mouth, because there is no other way to do it outside of that, I believe. I don't believe that in marketing. I don't believe you could market for this stuff. I don't think that you could just put out these pictures. I mean, it might work to a certain extent, but I mean, it's not going to end. Like you're not going to be able to sustain that type of growth based off of just some marketing. I mean, I could go and clean one boat, take some pictures of it, and say that that's the boat. Like this is what the boat looks like every single month after I'm done cleaning it. Because, I mean, all these guys, they all want to swim around with GoPros on and be like, oh, we filmed the whole video. We filmed the whole boat. We do this and we do that. It's like, really? It takes you half the time to do the boat with a GoPro. Then you also have to add in all this editing time. So you're going to tell me that you're in the water half the time it would take me to do the boat by hand without a camera. And yet the boat is cleaner than me? Cleaner than when I do it? You're off your fucking rocker. My guess is that how these guys do it is they do a really good job of cleaning the boat, and then they take a nice long video and then they snip it all up and then just feed you pieces of it periodically. Oh, this was what the boat looked like. This was the cleaning job. This is what it looked like after I was done cleaning it. This is what it looked like when I was cleaning it. There's just no other way that I could wrap my head around how that could actually happen, right? So again, going back to the whole doing the right thing, right? Doing the right thing consists of not going into an area or a territory, and it doesn't even matter about diving. It matters just about business in general, right? Or sales and whatnot. To go into a new market. This kid's not even from here. He doesn't even have anything. He doesn't even know anything about the territory, the market, the dollar amounts, the boats, the growth, none of it. He knew nothing about it. He just came in and he was like, he undercut me by $1 a foot so he could scoop up some boats and get his foot in the door. I mean, he's lucky I didn't open the door because I would have slammed it on his fucking foot and broke his bunch of bones. But anyways, so he goes, so the doing the right thing, right? You got to go into these areas and these territories and these markets and whatnot, and you got to build and nurture these relationships. You got to start with one boat, which starts to grow to 2 to 3 to 4, and you got to get that word of mouth growing. The right thing is to not go into a territory and be like, your diver's bad, he's a piece of shit, his divers aren't doing their job, none of them are doing their job, but look at me. I'm the new guy and I'm doing everything right. But some people, this kid included, seem to believe that that's the way you do it, right? That's the way you do it. Do you do the right thing? That's not doing the right thing. You're not doing the right thing. That's bullshit. It's unprofessional. It's definitely it's not respectable whatsoever. I wish I could say that it was non-sustainable, but I mean, let's face it, right? If you convince somebody that their diver or their salesman or their mechanic or their AC guy or their pool guy is bad, and you can in some way, shape, or form manipulate that conversation to go in your direction, well, then of course they're going to be like, oh yeah, oh, you're right, oh, Ben bad, feed me, let me wipe my face with it, right? Sorry, I grew up in a different era. I was taught differently. I have way more integrity than to do some shady ass shit like that just for a buck. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, if that was the case, I'd turn into a gigolo and start smashing married chicks for dollars. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. But I mean, it seems as though society is all about that. You know, and I've said this before in the past video, that people nowadays are so willing to fuck you over before you fuck them over. And the downside is they don't even know that you're going to fuck them to begin with. I mean, where are all the quality people anymore? Like, legitimately, where are the quality people? You know, you see on social media all the time about girls and women, and they're online and they're bitching, oh, where are all the good men? Where are all the good men? Well, the good men are out there waiting to be discovered
because you're too busy fucking around with the idiots and the douchebags, right? Do the right thing. You know, if you want to find trash, go to the dump. Listen to your friends. You know, oh, he's hot. He's hot. Oh. Okay. Well, and when you're single with a kid or a couple of kids and you're fighting him over child support and you can't seem to get any money out of him, then you think to yourself, why didn't I get with a good guy? Because why? Well, you weren't doing the right thing at that time. You were doing what you felt was the best, which was to make yourself feel good at the time, and then you ended up fucking yourself over in the long run. You didn't do the right thing, right? Same thing with business. You know, it's just, where are all the quality people? It's very, very hard to find them nowadays. And those are the people that you really want to nurture those relationships with, because good people breed other good people. Like, you know, you want to be around people that are like-minded. You know, you want to have those people that are, you know, if you leave your garage door open, they come over and they knock on your door at 9 o'clock at night. Hey, man, I don't know if you know this or not, but your garage door's open. Oh, shit, I had no idea. Thank you. You know, like neighbors, instead of like the guys that'll like sneak into your garage and like steal your shovels or you know, your lawnmower or whatever the case is when the sun goes down. You know, like, where are all the good people at? Where are they? I mean, is there like a Facebook group of those? Is there like a website where you could just go in there and be like, I'm looking for good quality people, you know, to hang out with, to learn from? You know, you want to be around like-minded people, but sometimes it's so hard in a society that's so full of shitty people. It's unfortunate, right? So in the meantime, I talked to a good buddy of mine, and we were talking about the whole Jesus thing, and he's like, oh, you know, I think I have one of those. Lo and behold, I mean, he's got one. It's a different, like the sash is a different color, and I think his facial hair and his hair, or at least his facial hair, I think is a different color. But you know, the kid's really not all that. I mean, she's concerned about it, sure. You know, she said it was her protector, and you know, I felt really, really bad about it. Even though it was outside of my control. I mean, how was I supposed to know that, you know, that would happen? You know, you go through life and you do all these checks and balances, and you know, try to do everything that you possibly can to make sure that you're safe, the people around you are safe, you know, you don't get stolen from, you don't get taken advantage of, you don't get hurt, you know, things like that. You know, you take calculated risks and whatnot, and you just hope that everything works out for the best. And sometimes things are just out of your control, and you have to react. And for that, I reacted by going down to the Audi dealership and letting them know that, hey, something was missing that was in the car, and, you know, I'd just like it back, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But the moral of this entire story, as we come up on 28 and a half minutes, is to, you know, just be a better person. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, people always want to, you know, like, oh, Ben, you stop at yellow lights, and you don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't argue, and you don't fight all the time, you don't do this, and you don't do that. And it's like, because why? You know, I mean, as I creep up on 50 years old, it's like, you know, I was just reflecting on this last night. I'm like, I'm over 2/3 of my way through my life, and that's if I make it to natural, you know, life expectancy. You know, do I want to spend the next 25 years just being a shitty human being and trying to fuck people left and right, always having to look over my shoulder, always hoping that it doesn't come back around on me, and that karma doesn't come by and trip me on my way to the bathroom to where I hit my head on the toilet and die? You know what I mean? It sounds a little morbid, but I mean, let's think about it though, right? If you think about how karma works, you know, if you're constantly doing shitty things, right, what do you think's going to happen? Sooner or later, it's going to catch up to you. It may not be today, tomorrow, next week. It might not even be next year. But at some point, life is going to catch up to you. So why do it to begin with? You know? If you don't have the money, don't do it. Don't steal it. You know? Ask your friends. Hey, you know, you got $20, $30 I could borrow? Fuck. Don't even ask to borrow it. Just say, hey, man, can I get $20? Can I have $20? Can I have $10? Can I have $5? You know what I mean? Like, choose your words wisely. Because let me tell you, what I've learned over the last, I don't know, like 9 months is choose your words wisely, especially if you're in a relationship with a woman, because they will remember a lot of things, and they do know when you're not choosing your words wisely because they point it out. And if they don't point it out, there's a database right up there. It's constantly on record, as we all know. And I'm not saying that they all do that. Just a lot of them. But anyways, yeah. So again, the moral of the story, just do the right thing. If your garbage is full at your house and you're the husband, the wife, the kid, or whatever, take it out. You put dishes in the sink, wash them. You know, like if you are the last one to watch the TV, put the remote back where it came from, or put it back where it goes. You know what I mean? Like, if you take the last soda out of the refrigerator, fill it back up. You know? Just like little tiny things that we can do incrementally across the course of a day, a week, a month, a year, your lifetime can really truly add up. And what it does is it fills your heart with goodness and it makes you feel like a better person for it. So with that, I'm going to close out. Thank you for listening to me rant about, just doing the right thing. I appreciate that. As always, and every other YouTuber says, comment, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, because I'm always so consistent. But I mean, ultimately it's that whole, comment, like, subscribe thing. Let's jump me to the algorithm. Let's put me at the very top so that I can make more videos and you guys can listen to me rant and rave more and more and I get more and more colorful. Yes. But anyways, that's it. I appreciate you. You guys all have a great day. And until next time.